Hello everyone and welcome to another of our Trader Talks videos with me, Richard Perry and Steve Miley. As ever, if you're not trading with Handset Markets at the moment, you can go to our website hmarkets.com where you can sign up for a demo, 4 easy steps, and also you can trade live very quickly. So once more, we're seeing a lot of big moves in markets, Steve, and August seems to be a bit thin markets, you can argue, and a lot of volatility. I mean, gold, I'm going to resist the temptation to crow about how we talked about gold last week, possibly coming off the top. But we're looking at some other key moves as well with equities, but also Forex today. And you're going to start, I think, with the DAX.
Yeah, I'm going to kick off with the DAX, but as you say there, it was a great call last week from yourself on gold, so I think we do need to point that out. You know, we highlighted a potential top going in, and it did go in, and we saw biggest down move, I think, for 7 years over the last 24 hours here in gold. So, you know, anyone following us from last week would be warned of that. Yeah, I'm going to take a look at the DAX, and really what I want to point out here is the kind of the baton changing hands from the US equity indices, and we've been focusing on, I've certainly focused on the S&P 500 a few times over the last few Trader Talks and looking at that pushing still higher, getting close to that all-time high, and we went right up close to that all-time high over the past 24 hours with the S&P 500. But now what we're seeing is we're seeing a real strength in here over the past 24 hours. So on Tuesday the 11th going into Wednesday the 12th, from the European stock indices, the Euro stocks, the FTSE rebounding. But as you say, we're focusing on the German DAX in here, and they had that real boost higher. Now, part of that, you're going to talk about the Euro shortly. Part of that's probably to do with the Euro kind of weakness and dollar strength we're seeing. That certainly helps out the DAX. We also had a super strong ZEW survey yesterday from Germany, so that certainly has helped matters in here. But from us, from our technical perspective, what I really like is we've broken above the peaks from last week. The market was cautious on the rebound. It underperformed at the end of July and is starting to now outperform its US counterpart, its US cousin. And we've seen a rebound off this kind of tentative trend line that comes up from March. The market pushing back high, and I think there's real threat now, having re-overcome that old resistance level at 12,915. We can go back and look at the recent high, the recent recovery high from July, 13,313, which then pushed right into that really important bear gap that we had, that we've been watching, though, all those bear gaps from February. 13,235, 13,500 that is, and then not far above there you got the all-time high at 13,795. RSI pointing up, supportive, all looks fairly positive to me. How's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, we focused on the S&P 500 last week because we was talking about the dollar weakness that we were seeing, and dollar weakness really strengthens the outlook for the S&P 500. And I think that we see that, as I said, my focus is going to be on euro in a minute, and the euro dollar rate starting to come back, and I think that really does start to now flip into outperformance potentially of the DAX going forward. So we do have this breakout on DAX above 12,915. That was a key move for me. Nice band of support now, 12,750 to 12,915, to look for buying opportunities, and I think that a test of that 13,313 level on the cash is going to be seen. And as I said, I think anything that we now start to see weakness on these indices, I think is going to be a chance to buy, and the DAX could now start to be an outperformer if we see that euro dollar chart breaking down.
Yep, agreed. And so I guess moving on to the euro just segues you nicely into your euro chart, right?
Yeah, I mean, big focus on how the dollar weakness has been playing out recently, but we've now started to see treasury yields pulling decisively higher. Really strong move yesterday on the 10-year, and that's continued today. And those interest rate differentials are certainly playing out in the favor of the dollar in terms of a rebound. We haven't yet seen a breakdown on euro dollar. That 16.95 level is the key level that I'm looking out for. That would complete a top pattern if it gets done on a closing basis. Now, I see a lot of similarities with how we saw euro dollar playing out through early June into mid-June, where you saw a run higher, coming off the top, small top patterns, a sell signal on the MACD lines, bear cross, which is what we've got now. But how far to the downside does that euro go? I don't necessarily going to think it's going to hit the implied target, which would be underneath 15 big figure. I think 15 to maybe 15.50 would be an area to start to look for potential next buying opportunities, because I think the euro dollar is going to be playing out on the long side throughout the second half of this year. It's just that we're seeing a near-term corrective move that I think is likely to play out. 118 big figure on a near-term basis is a level to watch as a pivot line inside this trading range. But I think it's going to be putting pressure on 16.95 and downside after that. Steve?
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree. We've been obviously do our separate analysis, and I've got exactly the same levels, exactly the same view in here. We have gone down a little bit, been prodding down at that level on a few occasions in here, that 116.95, but it's held, and I just don't, not quite sure whether it's going to hold, and gone down there again this morning and rebounded. But my old mentor used to say to me, a market that goes and retests the same level 2-3 times, eventually it's going to break, and I think there is real risk. Another bout of dollar strength, maybe driven by the yield differential in here this time, down pushing it through 116.95, opens up that downside. But again, I think it's going to be a fairly shallow. You got your trend line coming in there. It probably sits around 116.00, maybe only down to there, maybe slightly deeper towards that 115 area. But certainly that's going to be the swing trader buy opportunity. But right now, if you're long, you're probably thinking about getting out. And if you're a flip trader, if you're a day trader, maybe you're probably going to be selling it through 116.95.
Yeah, I think it's a good opportunity here, the euro dollar, and as I said, a closing breach of that 16.95 does that trade.
Cool, sounds good.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Steve, and we'll speak to you all next time.